Hi there, I'm Renos Vakis, lead economist at the World Bank, and your host for Accelerating Development Ideas for Impact. This is not your typical podcast. It's an AI powered conversation brought to you by the World Bank Institute for Economic Development, where we unpack the latest research with one goal in mind: turning big ideas into real world impact. Let's get started.
Thank you for the introduction, Renos. When we talk about the global economy, it's easy to get lost in these huge abstract numbers. But today we're talking about something very, very personal: financial inclusion. And there's still this massive number out there: 1.3 billion adults who don't have a financial account.
It's a staggering number. But what's really fascinating, and what the latest Global Findex data shows, is that a huge portion of these people are what we'd call digitally ready. They aren't as far from being included as we might think.
Digitally ready? What does that actually mean for someone on the ground?
It means that in a place like sub Saharan Africa, for instance, you have about 80 million people. That's a quarter of all the unbanked adults there, who already have the three key things they need to open an account.
Okay, so what are those three things?
It's the whole package. They have a personal ID, they own a mobile phone, and this is key, they have a SIM card registered in their own name. They have the foundational tools.
80 million. That's a huge number of people who are right on the cusp. And is there a gender dynamic there?
That's the other crucial part. That group of 80 million people is split evenly between men and women, which shows that once you get past those foundational barriers, that first step towards inclusion is equitable, which really tells us where the policy focus needs to be.
So let's break down those barriers. If they have the tools, what's the bottleneck?
Well, let's start with the ID. An official identification is like the absolute starting point for so many digital and financial services. The data shows that in sub Saharan African countries with low ID ownership, the number one problem people without an ID face is they can't buy a SIM card.
Wow. So it's a domino effect. No ID means no SIM card, which stops everything else in its tracks.
It stops everything. In Uganda, for example, 79% of adults without an ID said they had trouble buying a SIM card.
79%? And that's connected directly to finance. 15% of unbanked adults in the region say a lack of documentation is the specific reason they don't have a mobile money account. Okay, so ID is critical. What about the other big piece, the mobile phone itself? Because not all phones are created equal, right?
Exactly, and that's the heart of the next barrier. The most significant reason people don't use the internet is simply that they don't own a smartphone. And when we ask them why, across every single region, the answer is the cost.
It's just too expensive.
It's prohibitively expensive. In sub Saharan Africa, a basic entry level smartphone can cost 73% of a month's income for someone in the poorest 40% of households.
73%. That's not a choice between a new phone and a luxury item. It's a choice between a phone and, well, essentials for the month.
That's exactly it. It's just not attainable for so many.
So we've established the barriers: ID and cost. But what about the incentives? What actually gets people to take that leap and open an account?
This is one of the most powerful findings in the data. It's about payments, the digitalization of big recurring payment streams, specifically government benefits and private sector wages, is a huge driver for financial inclusion.
So, getting paid is the main motivator?
It's the digital gateway. In low and middle income economies, 43% of all adults with an account open their very first one for one reason: to receive a wage or a government payment. That's 60% of all account holders in that group. And importantly, this pathway works just as well for women as it does for men.
That's such a clear policy lever right there. What's the untapped potential then?
It's massive. Let's look at government to person payments, or G2P. About three-quarters of people who get a government payment already receive it digitally, which is great progress. But that means there's still a quarter of recipients who are getting cash or vouchers.
And are those people ready to switch? Are the prerequisites there for them?
They are completely primed for the transition. Of those still getting cash, 62% already have an account they could use, and 75% own a mobile phone. They're just waiting for the system to catch up. And the opportunity in the private sector is even larger. Less than half of all private sector wages are paid into an account.
So there's a huge gap there with private employers?
A huge gap. The regional differences really tell the story. In Europe and Central Asia, 79% of private wages are digital, but in the Middle East and North Africa, only 20%. It just shows how much room for growth there is if we can encourage businesses to digitalize payroll.
Okay, so this all paints a picture of real progress. We're closing the access gap. But the goal isn't just to have an account, right? It's about what you can do with it. It's about financial health. How is that looking?
I guess the main point is that that's the next great challenge. It's a classic development story, isn't it? Access is the first step, but it's not the destination. And while access is growing, financial resilience has stalled.
Stalled? So more people have accounts, but they aren't any better off when it comes to handling a financial shock. That feels counterintuitive.
It does, but it's what the data shows. The share of adults who could come up with emergency money is stuck at 56%, the same as it was in 2021, despite account ownership going up. And if you ask people how long they could cover their expenses if they lost their main source of income, only about 1 in 3 could last more than 2 months.
That's sobering. It suggests there's a disconnect between having an account and feeling confident and capable of using it effectively.
That's right. And we see these gaps in capability all over the data. People are dealing with unexpected fees, for example. In sub Saharan Africa, nearly a quarter of people getting government payments said they paid a higher fee than they expected. People are also making simple, costly mistakes.
What kind of mistakes?
Erroneous transactions. Again, in sub Saharan Africa, nearly a quarter of mobile money users have sent money to the wrong person, and that must be so frustrating because only about half of them ever got that money back. That completely undermines trust.
It absolutely would. It all points back to confidence then.
It does. Across low and middle income economies, two-thirds of adults who don't have a bank account believe they would need help using one if they actually open one.
So, what's the path forward? If just providing access isn't enough, what comes next?
It has to be a holistic approach. It's not just about access anymore, it's about the user's experience. This means stronger consumer protection, much clearer fee disclosures, and just better, more intuitive product design. Things like building identity verification into payment apps to help prevent those mistaken transfers we talked about.
So, building the user's confidence and trust has to be the central goal now.
It is. And we are seeing people take proactive steps themselves. The data shows 40% of bank account owners have checked their balance using their phone or a computer. Policies and products should be designed to encourage that kind of engagement, making it simple and safe. That's how we move from just access to real, tangible improvements in people's financial health.
From access to opportunity, a perfect place to end.
Over to you, Rinos.
Thank you for joining us. You can find the full report on our website. Just follow the link in the description. Be sure to subscribe to be the first to know about upcoming episodes. And before you go, how do you plan to put what you learn into practice? And what topics you'd like us to explore next? We'd love to know. Until then, goodbye.